The night we should have left. A camping trip. Gone wrong. It was supposed to be just another weekend. My friends and I had planned a simple camping trip. Nothing too crazy, just a quick getaway to disconnect from our hectic lives and spend some time in the great outdoors. We were all in our mid-20s, full of energy and optimism, convinced that we could handle whatever nature threw at us. We chose a spot near the edge of a state park, a place we had been to a few times before. It was peaceful and remote, the kind of place where the only sounds you'd hear were the wind through the trees and the occasional rustle of wildlife. We arrived just as the sun began to dip below the horizon. The campgrounds were empty, and the air had that crisp, fresh smell that only comes with being far away from civilization. It felt like the perfect weekend. No phones, no emails, just friends and a campfire. We set up our tents, gathered firewood, and soon enough, we were sitting around the campfire, roasting marshmallows and telling stories. As the night grew darker, we noticed a flicker of light through the trees. It wasn't the soft, steady glow of another campfire, but more of a quick flash, like someone was moving a flashlight around in the woods. We all assumed it was another camper, maybe out for a late-night walk. It wasn't out of the ordinary. Still, we exchanged curious glances, but nobody thought much of it. We continued on with our conversation, keeping the fire alive and joking around, as any group of friends would. But then, things started to get weird. About an hour later, the light flickered again, but this time it was closer, way too close. I could feel the hair on the back of my neck stand up, a cold shiver creeping up my spine. It was a feeling I couldn't explain, but it was a gut instinct that something was off. I didn't want to sound paranoid, so I just glanced around at my friends. They didn't seem to notice at first, but when I saw the concerned looks on their faces, I knew they felt it too. "Did you guys see that?" Sarah asked, her voice low and uncertain. I nodded, my stomach tightening. "Yeah, it's like someone's walking around out there." We all fell silent for a few moments, straining our ears to hear anything beyond the crackling of the fire. The woods were unusually quiet now, the kind of silence that made you feel exposed, vulnerable. Then came a sound, a branch snapping, followed by the unmistakable crunch of footsteps on the forest floor. It was too steady, too deliberate to be an animal. I stood up, trying to stay calm. "It's probably just some hikers," I said, forcing the words out. But my voice felt hollow even to me. The tension in the air was thick, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't alone. "Let's just keep the fire going." We sat there in the darkness, trying to laugh off the unease. But it wasn't just the footsteps that bothered me. It was the way they seemed to move in a circular pattern around us, like whoever it was pacing us. I could hear the footsteps getting closer, then farther away, but always circling back. It was a strange, almost predatory pattern, and my heart began to race in my chest. Then a sudden shout pierced the silence. "Hey, who's out there?" It was Mike, one of the guys in our group. He was standing up, looking into the darkness, his eyes searching for the source of the noise. But there was no response, just the wind rustling through the trees. "Mike, sit down," I said, my voice trembling. "Let's just stay calm." But it was too late. The moment he shouted, the footsteps stopped. For a few moments, there was nothing. Absolute silence. Then, the light flashed again. This time, it was right at the edge of our camp, flickering wildly like someone was shining a flashlight at us, trying to get our attention. But it wasn't a normal flashlight. It was erratic, darting in and out, almost like the person holding. It was moving around in a frantic manner. "What the hell is going on?" Sarah whispered, her voice shaking. I could hear the fear in her tone, and I knew we all felt it now. We weren't alone, and this wasn't some casual encounter. "Let's pack up," I said, my voice sharp. "We need to leave." But as I said that, everything escalated. The light began to move closer again, the footsteps resuming in that eerie, circular pattern. This time, they were much faster. The person, or whatever it was, moving quickly through the woods, almost like they were running toward us. My heart pounded in my chest, and I could feel my breath quickening as panic set in. "Get everything," I ordered, We're leaving now. We scrambled to grab our things, not caring about being quiet anymore. The flash of the light grew, brighter. And then I saw something that made my blood run cold. A shadow, tall and looming, moving between the trees. It wasn't human. The figure was too tall, too lanky, like something out of a nightmare. It moved with jerky, unnatural movements, almost like it wasn't walking at all but sliding across the ground. And it was getting closer. "Run!" I shouted. We all took off at once, running blindly through the woods, tripping over rocks and roots as we desperately tried to put distance between us and whatever was out there. I didn't look back. I couldn't. The sound of our footsteps crashing through the forest drowned out everything else. The rustling of the trees, the wind in my ears, the rapid beating of my heart. I was focused on one thing: getting the hell out of there. We didn't stop until we were out of the woods, standing on the side of the road. Breathless, shaking, we huddled together, trying to make sense of what had just happened. There was no explanation for the light, the footsteps, or the shadow we had seen. It didn't make sense, and yet everything in me told me that we had narrowly escaped something dangerous. The drive back to our house was a blur. We didn't speak much, each of us lost in our own thoughts, processing the terror we had just experienced. And to this day, I don't know what it was we encountered that night. Whether it was a person, an animal, or something else entirely, I don't know. But the gut feeling that told us to leave, that we weren't safe, that was something I'll never forget. And now, every time I go camping, that feeling lingers in the back of my mind. Sometimes it's not about being prepared for the usual dangers of the wilderness. It's about trusting your instincts when everything inside you screams that something isn't right. That night, my gut saved us, and I'll never ignore it again.